Good morning. Welcome to our Veterans Day Assembly. We will begin with Mrs. King announcing the veterans as they are escorted into the assembly.
Mr. Ted Bartlett, United States Marines, 4th Marine Division, 1942 to 1945, escorted by his great-grandson Kyle Palmer. Mr. Kenneth Osgood, Navy and Coast Guard Auxiliary, Navy, 1944 to 1950, Coast Guard Auxiliaries for 31 years from 1972 to 1976, escorted by Kyle Roby. Mr. Joel Barassi, United States Coast Guard from 1975 to 1980, escorted by Layla Clogston. Carrying a photo of Mr. Robert Ross from the United States Army 1943 to 1946 are Barry and Austin Long. Carrying a photo of Roger Cody is from the United States Air Force from 1952 to 1956, Josiah Cody. Carrying a photo of Lance Corporal Joseph Lebrecht, an Eagle Scout, Junior ROTC cadet, graduated Paris Island December 2012, and currently enrolled with the Marine Corps Communication Electronics School, Alpha Detachment at 29 Palms, California. Photo carried by his mother, Mindy Lebrecht. Mr. Conrad Jardin in the Navy, escorted by Blake Tower. Mr. Paul Ray, United States Navy, Air from 1971 to 1975 in Vietnam, escorted by his grandson, Colt Southern. Mr. Joseph Coffey Sr., Big Joe, United States Air Force, 5th Bomb Wing from 1983 to 1987, escorted by Deanna Rand. Jr., United States Marine, 1st Recon Battalion, Okinawa, Japan, from 2007 to 2011, escorted by Britta Robinson. Alan Rich, from the United States Navy, USS Coral Sea, from 1986 to 1990, escorted by Abby Rich. Mr. James Fadden Sr., United States Navy, from 1954 to 1958, escorted by Kayla Fadden. Ms. Sandra Raniker, 501st Army, from 1980 to 1984, escorted by Katie Black. Cameron Radiger and Alexis Collingham are carrying a photo of Richard Collingham and Rod Black. Mr. Ernest Holtzman, Army, 82nd Airborne from 1968 to 1971, escorted by Anna and Abby Harvey. Mr. Peter Langley, United States Air Force, 3rd Tactical Fighter Wing in Vietnam from 1966 to 1970, escorted by Nicole Fucci. Jr., United States Army, 509th Airborne from 1968 to 1970, escorted by Hannah Hoover. Ray is carrying a photo of Service Member Private First Class Brendan Ingalls, United States Army, presently serving at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. Mr. Scott McIntyre, United States Army from 1982 to 2006, escorted by Malachi Ritzma. Mr. David Burho served in the United States Army, the 33rd Signal Battalion in Alaska, escorted by Skyla Labatt. Mr. Jerry Mizrandito, escorted by Kai Good, who served in the United States Army Airborne Ranger from 1963 to 1967. Lin-Wood, Army Special Forces from 1962 to 1986, escorted by Grant and Liam Clark. Mr. Joe Evans, Marine Corps, 1st Armored Amphibian Company, 11th Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division in Vietnam from 1968 to 1969, escorted by Dylan Russell. Edwin Peterson and Ryan Peterson, both serving in the Army. Mr. Ed Peterson for 22 years and Ryan for the last 3 years, escorted by Rebecca Peterson. Mr. Steve Welch, in the United States Marines from 1973 to 1976, escorted by Delana Welch. Served in the United States Navy, 3rd Class Petty Officer from 1990 to 1994, escorted by Thomas Delenciotis. Mr. James Manning, the Army, 16th Infantry Division from 1959 to 1962, escorted by Cameron and Liam Manning. United States Army, 75th Ranger Regiment from 1992 to 1999, escorted by Lauren and Caitlin Peck. Michael Sarlo, United States Army Fire Direction Center from 1981 to 1983, escorted by Abby Sawyer. Frank Yasunaro, Navy, Vietnam, 1969, in Chulai and Da Nang, from 1968 to 1970 in the Navy, escorted by Jillian and Caitlin Clark. Mr. Ted Mack, United States Marines, 1995 to 1999, escorted by Sienna and McKenna Mack. The United States Army 577th Engineer Battalion from 1964 to 1967, walking with Marjorie Tennyson, who is also walking in memory of her great-grandfather, Gordon Riley, United States Army World War II Military Police from 1943 to 1946. Jr., Air Force, walking with his children Colby, Bree, Maddie, and Jack, walking also for his father, Earl Chase Sr., Navy. Brother Rob Taylor, Coast Guard, and the middle family family of the Air Force and Navy Overland Army. Mr. Wallace Pelletier, served in the United States Army from 1953 to 1956, escorted by Dakota Morris. Mr. Charles Harrington, United States Army, 4th Regimental Combat Team from 1956 to 1958, escorted by Andrew Harrington. And Mr. Roger Harrington, United States Army, 54th Engineers from 1959 to 1962, also escorted by Andrew Harrington. Ms. Rita Landry, United States Air Force, stenographer from 1950 to 1953, escorted by Dakota Smith. Mr. Victor Aldridge, United States Army, from 1945 to 1947, escorted by Chloe and Charlie Black. Mr. Michael Dovolak, United States Army, 3rd Infantry Division from 1978 to 1998, escorted by Mike Drew. Ms. Gloria Kimball, United States Army, as a dental assistant from 1962 to 1967, escorted by Mrs. O'Connell and Blake Bozeman. Mr. David Bradley, United States Army, 1962 to 1982, escorted by Colton Harriman. Murphy is going to escort Mr. Paul Bureau, United States Army, and Richard Merry, United States Marines. Paul was in the Army from 1958 to 1961, and Richard was in the Marines from 1969 to 1971. We have two veterans who are not able to join us today. We'd like to recognize Mr. Lester Bradley, United States Marines from 1970 to 1972, and the Army National Guard from 1979 to 1992. We'd also like to recognize Mr. John Williams, United States Army, 2011, who also will not be able to join us today.
Would you please remain standing for a moment of silence for all the veterans that could not make it here today? Thank you. Next, we will have the presentation of colors, so remain standing, please. Boy Scouts, as soon as you're ready.
Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to read a poem. It's called Freedom in America. Freedom in America isn't really free. We often pay a price to keep our liberty. Remember those we loved, who fought for us and died, and those who never knew, for whom others mourned and cried. At home, our war for freedom is sadly overdue. We've let corruption stage a sad and grievous coup. No longer can we brush off dishonesty and greed, lust for our wealth and power. We can't, we won't concede. Compliancy is weakness patriots can't afford. We have an act of wrongs that cannot be ignored. We must give up sometimes, spend on other pleasures, to restore America's freedom, to keep America's treasures. Money spent on trifles must now go to our cause. Get rid of the offenders, Constitution outlaws. Freedom in America isn't really free. It's up to American patriots. It's up to you and me. It's by Joanne Fuchs.
And now we have the Sunshine Singers. Sunshine Singers. They're going to be singing Thank a Vet, Thank Wilson.
so grateful to live in. I am thankful for my country, my family, my house, and my school. I am thankful for my freedom. I'm thankful for all the veterans that risked their lives for our freedom.
I'm thankful for my grandfather who was in the Vietnam War and also for being in a free country.
I'm thankful for my grandfather who prepared planes to go to Vietnam.
I am thankful for being able to live free in the United States.
I am thankful for being free.
I'm thankful for our freedom because of our brave soldiers.
I'm thankful for having freedom in a wonderful country. I'm thankful for people that are in the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, Navy SEALs, and Coast Guard that served and are serving us now. I'm thankful for my grandfather serving in Vietnam. I'm thankful for my uncle who was in the Navy, my great uncle who was in the Army, and my other great uncle and great grandfather who were in the Air Force. I am thankful for living free and not having to worry about getting attacked because we have the military to protect us from harm.
I'm thankful for being free in this country.
I am thankful for my freedom because of all the people who are serving or have served our country.
I'm thankful for your service and risking our lives for our freedom.
I'm thankful for my grandfather who was in Vietnam because of our loss. I am thankful for the freedom of our country and the military which protects us.
Mr. Mark Hood has a reading that he will present today.
Best on Earth, a Veterans Day tribute. If someone has done military service, they've earned the title veteran or more. They've earned our deep respect and admiration that they are special, no one can ignore. They sacrifice the comforts we enjoy, and a list is long of all the things they gave. Our veterans are extraordinary people. They're loyal, dedicated, true, and brave. When terror and invasion were real threats, they showed us they could handle any storm. We owe our freedoms and our lives to veterans who serve in uniform. Our veterans should be celebrities. They're exceptional. No other group compares. We're grateful for the many things they've done. They're always in our hearts and in our prayers. We owe our veterans support and our friendship. Let no one ever question what they're worth. These men and women who serve us and our country, our veterans, they're the best on earth.
Thank you, Mark. The Millen High School Chorus will now sing My America. Joel Barassa as our guest speaker.
Good morning. I'm more than honored to be here today, but I'm also more than humbled as I look out at the many veterans in the room, far more worthy than myself. In any event, today I'm going to talk a few minutes to the students here about why ordinary boys and girls like yourselves might decide to join the military. Then I'll conclude with a short video that I think everybody in the room will appreciate. So, why would a perfectly normal, well-educated student at Lin-Wood want to join a branch of the military? You watch the news online and on television all the time. People shoot at you, try to blow you up, and generally try to kill you before you kill them. Many come home wounded. Some come home that didn't survive. If you join to see action, you may never even get stationed in harm's way. If you join hoping to avoid action, you may indeed get thrown into harm's way. Lincoln and Woodstock are safe, sheltered communities where everybody knows everybody else, and real-life danger is very rare. You could go on to trade school, college, stay in the area, get married, maybe raise a family. So why? Why would you put yourself out there and join the military? Why would you do that? There's a multitude of reasons that are pretty individual to everybody, but I narrowed it down to the reasons most often cited by veterans when asked why they joined. So, in no particular order. Some people join for the education. College is very expensive, and not everyone can afford to go. The military has some great internal programs for education, with many other avenues to offer its members to help them pay for college later on. Or the money. The military offers a reasonable starting wage for an entry-level job, and you get free room and board. Some people join for the great medical coverage. With the Affordable Care Act all over the news and the uncertainty where that'll end up, the military has outstanding medical benefits. No annual fees, deductibles, or co-pays. It's guaranteed. For the career, the military can be a job where you can do 1 hour, 1 tour of duty, or make a whole career out of it. After just 20 years, you can elect to retire and start collecting retirement pay immediately. So, for example, if you graduate at age 18, you could retire from the military at age 38, collect the military retirement pay, and even start a new civilian career and retire from that someday. Many veterans in the room right now did just that. Well, you can certainly stay in longer than the 20 years. Some join for the travel. The military is a great way to see the world. I'm not talking about seeing war zones, but virtually anywhere in the world. The military will pay for you to get there, and on your time off, you get to explore. For the camaraderie. The bond you will create with the people you serve with is a lifetime bond. I've been out of the service for 38 years, and I still communicate and visit with my old buddies. Ask any veteran about that. You'll hear the same thing. For direction. This is the exact reason why I joined the service when I did. When I went here to Lin-Wood way back in the early to mid-70s, I know, the dark ages, unlike most of my classmates, I had no ideas what I wanted to do with my life. College sounded good, but I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was only 17 when I graduated, and quite immature for my age. I think Mr. Nelson can attest to that. I joined the service to go figure myself out, and in retrospect, to grow up. After my 4-year tour, I knew what I wanted to do, and the service gave me the confidence to do it. And I did. To learn real-world skills. Many of the skills you learn in the military can't carry over very nicely to civilian life when you get out. This one surprised me a little bit. It was pretty high on the list. To be away from your parents. This is one of the actual reasons why many join a branch in the service. You might not want to let your parents know that's your motivation, though. Then just because. Some join because it sounds cool, and they see all the ads and the commercials on TV and people working on billion-dollar aircrafts using the latest, greatest weapons and technology available. This is not a video game. And some just want to get in to get out of their comfort zone. Pride and honor. This is the biggie. Some just want to give back to this country. Maybe a parent or a grandparent or a brother or sister served. Maybe you want to test your courage and just make a difference. Maybe you just sense a strong duty to serve. It's hard to explain, and it's a very individual, personal decision. Those are the top reasons I found when I was researching this, why people join the military. It certainly is not for everyone, and if you're thinking about joining someday, in any branch you choose, my advice to you is just talk with a veteran, someone who has been there and understands and knows. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a bit. At the beginning of this event, we all said the Pledge of Allegiance. In fact, most Americans say it very frequently, and perhaps so frequently, it's easy to forget the true meaning of those words. To close out my talk today, I want to show you a short video made way back in 1969 that will remind you how important the Pledge of Allegiance really is, whether you're a veteran or not. It was made by a favorite comedian at the time named Red Skelton, who rarely said anything serious at all, because he was a comedian. The clip's a little blurry, so you have to pay attention a little bit. But please watch and listen.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. He says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion, to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Our next selection, Armed Forces, the Pride of America, will be sung by the high school chorus. Those who have served, please stand and be honored at the singing of your branches tune. Members of the audience are encouraged to stand and honor friends and loved ones who served our country. This piece ends with our national anthem, and I ask you all to please stand at that point. The United States Army. The United States Marines.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for rights and freedom, and to keep our honor clean.
ROTC will now come up and stand up. Mr. Nelson?
On behalf of Lin-Wood Public School, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today for this very special event. Each year it seems like it gets even better and better. We'd like to thank all the people who helped for planning and preparation for this event. It doesn't go by without a lot of work in advance, especially to two of our students who came forward and wanted to prepare cupcakes for our veterans when they leave today, and that's Ali Rokita and Corbin Avilas, so special thanks to them. But most of all, we'd like to thank our veterans for all that you've done for us, our school and community, to make this world and our community a safer place for all of us. Thank you.
Boy Scouts, would you please come forward to retire the colors? Please remain standing, and Mrs. King will announce the veterans as they leave.
Mr. Paul Bureau and Mr. Richard Merritt. Mr. David Bradley. Ms. Gloria Kimball. Michael Donovan. Victor Alford. Rita Andrews. Robert Harrison. Charlie Harrison. Wallace Kapir. Earl Tate
Just a reminder that this Sunday at the American Legion Hall, there'll be a veterans breakfast where veterans have their breakfast for free, and all others it will be $6. Again, thank you all, and have a good day.